Welcome to season 5 of Own Your Divine Light Show. I am your host, Yara Atlantica Miller, also known as Janet Miller. And the theme of this show this season is the divine human rising, recovering our sacred truth. This show is an exploration of the secret truths that have been concealed from us. We are letting go of this old system that no longer works and has held us back from becoming the divine humans we are meant to be. Today, we are having the incredible Jade DeCruz, who will be sharing her divine truth with us so that together we will be able to rise into that divine human that we are meant to be. So welcome, Jade. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Janet. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and so I'm going to tell you a little more about Jade because I just wanted to welcome her. And Jade is a multi-award-winning documentary filmmaker who experienced a deep fall, now returning to her authentic self. And I'll tell you, what a story. After her fall, she became a powerful metaphysical practitioner to support all souls in the ascension process. She uses theta healing with different energy healing methods for transformational effects in one session. She works with the Akashic records to provide powerful and life-changing readings that inspire your growth and get you on the right path for your joy, your peace, your happiness, in line with your highest and greatest dreams. She is a Reiki master and teacher and consciously works with master golden frequencies to guide you to a lifetime of limitless possibilities. Are you ready to embrace the life you desire? So Jade, congratulations. I'm so excited for you. Wow. I know your first book has launched and it's going to be it's an incredible success. And I'm going to tell everybody the name is The Divine Love, The Winged Beings of Light. And wait a minute, I have a picture here. I'm not fancy, but I'm going to show. Here's the picture of Jade's new book.
Yes.
That does come out in March, and it's so exciting. If you want it, she'll tell you more about, but Divine Love, The Winged Beings of Light, and it is her first. And I will tell you, everyone, this book is absolutely incredible. It'll change your life. So it's just so powerful, Jade, what, you brought through for us. So, I know, Jade, your book was quite a journey into the higher self and a lot of inner self work. And I know for me, when you asked me to, write the beautiful, I can't think of the right word. What is
testimonial the word? Review, a review.
Testimonial, there you go. It was incredible to connect to parts of me that I needed to release at an even deeper level. And it was almost like you heard me. It was like your book was meant. And I was just so blessed to be able to read it and be able to, comment. And it was just an incredible experience for me. And it compelled me to look again at many of the uncomfortable fragments of my lower self, to identify these segments of myself and ourselves. And this is what we're meant to do. And it's another surrendering and a humbling that releases more of our ego parts. Yeah. So that's what I kept finding what was happening with me. And we think we're done, and we're never done, are we? We're not totally done. It's just that you get to a point where you feel there's no charge, or there's no, I don't know what else you could say about it, but you have invited, the reader to see all parts of themselves as you share your journey into your personal underworld. So, now that you're broken to the surface, how do you look back at this indelible soul exploration that you were faced with?
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Well, had I known I was going to do that when I incarnated, I probably would have said no.
Yeah, I can see that. I would say
right?
The same.
It was
yes.
not an easy one. Not an easy one at all. No. Next time around, I think I'll pick something nice and smooth.
And you deserve it, and you'll probably get it.
Yeah, I've already said, like, okay, the job's done now, please. If it's finished. It was an evolution of the soul. I think I had to break myself to pieces in order to build myself up. Yeah. And so that's what happened. And it was tough. It was really tough, But I always had a little thread that was telling me, there's something there. There's something there. So I never lost faith, not once. I never became depressed. I never lost it to the point where it was like there was a disconnection with source, in spite of everything. So deep down, I probably knew I would get through it, but it was a big one. And I think now I've come, I don't know, I'm still trying to work out if I'm the same as I was before the spell.
How could you be? How could you be, really?
You can't be. You can't be.
No, I don't think so.
No. So I think I overcame issues that I had before the spell, which weren't very many. And during the spell, I created hundreds of issues because I was stuck.
Sure.
And so then I had to grow from there. But I grew from those issues, and then I also fixed the ones from before. So now I'm like better than I ever was, which is fantastic. And older, but better.
Sure. Well, yeah. And because of what you went through, it's just that you must have had a real deep reason when you made this contract on the other side. Of course, you didn't know how it was going to come through, because we never know in this dimension how it's going to play out. And yours is a movie. It's definitely a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if it comes out, I think you deserve it to be a movie. And you being a documentary person, this is how you started out. You were a documentary maker, and
yes,
your whole life shifted. So, and I know it's still a love for you, right? You still love doing that. And so
absolutely. Yeah. That's your passion. You've got to do what you're passionate about. You have to do what you're passionate. And I think I knew that anyway, but having done something different, having gone through this whole spell, and even now doing all the metaphysical work, it still confirms to me it's not my essence. The essence is the filmmaking. It's
still your essence, or it's not your essence?
It's not really. My essence is filmmaking.
Yeah. Okay, so you find what you're doing now is more your essence.
Going back to making film is more my essence.
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to be clear on.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So it didn't teach me that, but I just want to make it clear for people that you got to do what you love. It's
Absolutely.
your shadow. It never leaves you, no matter what you go through. Never leaves you.
Yeah. And so because this descent, I called it the descent into the underworld of the soul. I just said I have to really, because this is what it was for you. I mean, it was an incredible thing. And so, I mean, you've told us a little bit. So what was it? Did you find that there was something key you were meant to look at in yourself? Is there something that you really feel that?
Yes. You know what?
That you're willing to share? Yeah.
Of course. It's the importance of understanding the choices you make. And being very conscious about the choices you make, because you are creating your reality. You're creating it all. And I had free will. I made a choice to embark into this situation. And I was warned many times through dreams and things, big warnings, and I didn't listen, which is fine because I have free will.
Yeah, exactly.
But I learned a lesson, maybe I should be more discerning.
Yes. And I know people listening are probably going, what happened? What happened? And I don't want to spoil your book. So I don't know how much you want to get into any of that. I just thought I'd just put it out there. You tell me what you want to tell the people, because I know the book says things in a different way, and it's beautifully done because it's your journey to heal. Really?
Yeah. Well, basically I was asked to put my fingerprint on a coin. I knew at the time it was a really weird thing for someone to ask me to do. Very strange, but I did it.
Chills just the thought of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it because I thought, well, I know I'm protected. I know I'm divine.
Oh,
I know
right,
I'm loved.
sure.
I was having a life of synchronicity. And I thought, well, really, what can happen? Honestly,
Oh
I
my
don't believe in
goodness.
black magic.
Mm,
And yeah, it happened. And I think I also did it because I was, I wasn't a people pleaser, but I thought this person had been nagging me forever to put my finger on this coin. And
oh,
and in a way, she was quite
aggressive.
aggressive.
Mm.
So I thought, oh, what the hell, just put your finger on the coin.
Isn't that
Um,
weird? Isn't it
mm,
interesting that you didn't feel like, why is she so intent on me doing this? I mean, you thought she was just someone, who needed maybe, I don't know, did you have to pay her when you did it?
no, she was just on my back because it was a jealousy thing. And
So that's
she was
almost like a
intimidating.
warning. That's almost like a warning. But you still chose to trust her. You were giving it from your heart that it was a trusting moment.
Well, you know what it was? I think I was scared of her. I was
Okay.
intimidated. So I just thought, you know what? This woman's really getting on my nerves. Let me just do this thing and then it's finished. So maybe a vulnerability there, which I certainly don't have now.
No, because
so I learned a lot
that journey
about
yes. And so because of that, so to me, the first thing I've gotten, as you said, that is it's the lesson you asked in your contract was to learn how to stand in your power.
Absolutely. Also,
And
yeah,
so many of us have that lesson. I have that. I had that lesson as well. So I understand that lesson very well. And we get tripped up many times because we keep it tested. How willing do we want to this, but
yeah,
and we're human. And so we do these human things, even though we're not fully human, we're the divine human rising here.
yes.
But, it was at the time in your life when things were going so well that you couldn't imagine something like this upsetting things as it did.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
Your life totally shifted, like immediately. It wasn't like sudden little insipid thing. No, it was boom, total calamity.
It was total calamity. I mean, and I think I even realized that same night my head was spinning. I was not right. I was disorientated. I realized I was going around in circles during the day, like things weren't getting done, although I had an intention and a focus, but things weren't getting done
like you normally would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I basically spent a long time trying to create a film which should have really taken me about 3 weeks, and it ended up being 2.5 years, and it hadn't even been put down on paper. So
it got completed? It did get completed?
No.
It never did.
Sorry, it did get complete, but it ended up not being the thing that I really wanted to present. It wasn't something I was proud of in the end.
Right. And so you were in such a high because you were doing so well. You were being noted. You were really getting into the famous world of documentary makers. And so this truly was obviously an act of jealousy, unfortunately. And and then through that, you had to go through these incredible lessons that were not easy at all. Not easy at all. So this is a warning to all of us, really, to, if your whole body is telling you not to do something, and I've done the same thing, so I know it can happen. It wasn't black magic, but it was my body telling me not to follow through with this person, this medical person I was seeing, and my whole body was shaking. And I wasn't listening, just like you. I didn't listen. You had dreams, you had all kinds of things telling you. What do we need sometimes to tell us, don't do it? It's like, I don't know, but we have to go through what we go through.
To be honest, Janet, I think that we all need the experience.
Okay.
We have to not listen at the beginning, perhaps, in order to learn.
Yeah. I guess
the only way.
This is the human duality
that
we have to go through in this journey, and we have to listen we have to go through these trips, these trip ups that we choose for ourselves. Yeah.
And, perhaps some of us are more curious than others.
Yes.
Also.
And we also are challenging the outcome. We're kind of like challenge almost. Are we gamblers? I don't know if you call us a gambler, but in a way we are.
Risk takers.
I'm not really a gambler in life, but we're risking. In a way, we are kind of risking things, but yet,
adventurous, perhaps.
Yes, adventurous is a good word. That's a better word. Yeah. And why are we willing to allow ourselves to go through it? Because it's part of our soul contract. It has to be, right?
It is. Well, we're learning about our God self. We're learning about ourselves. Yes. So we can't learn without testing. What's the point? We have to try things out, and maybe they work out, maybe they don't. But if we don't actually try, we're stuck. We never move forward. We never grow.
Exactly. I feel the same way because I have taken challenges in my life, the good and the bad. And I know if it's good outcome, I'm like, thank goodness I took that risk. I wasn't afraid to step challenge. And that's what's going on in the world right now. When we look at the whole world, we're all being, challenged to make decisions and to stand in our power. And that's the sovereignty everyone's always talking about. Stand in your sovereignty, which is you are the only one who can truly decide for yourself what is your reality going to look like.
Absolutely. You are the master of your creations. You are the master of what you experience. Mm-hmm. There's nothing outside of you. You are God. So you're God creating this reality in this lifetime. Everything that you're experiencing is come from you and your choice. So I think that's what also I have learned, and I want to share with people, is that what you choose is what you're going to experience. So choose well, be conscious about what you're choosing. Is it going to bring you joy? And if you're not sure, then, be a bit more discerning perhaps about things, and maybe a little bit more step by step sometimes.
Yeah. And yet, the big picture, like for you, when you look at your big picture, how do you see how this has affected you on your soul path? I mean, you've kind of said it before, but is there anything you can look at?
Well, my soul path, it's been immense, absolutely immense. I mean, I feel like now I feel very powerful. I feel very sovereign. I have my boundaries. I'm loving, but I'm very firm. I'm not afraid to speak my truth. I can also read people and experience people very well now because I've been there. And I've grown out of it, come out the other side. So I think what I went through was many lessons, which bring us all back down to owning our own sovereign space, our own energetic sovereign boundaries, and actually recognizing ourselves as a divine being.
Absolutely. As I say it, and that's why I named my show Owning Your Divine Light, because that's what I'm meant to do here. I mean, this was the journey we were meant to when we chose to come onto this planet, because we chose to help this planet shift, help humanity shift. All of us are shifting, but we come in veiled so that we have to remember everything. And it's not like we never knew it before, but we have to remember it. And it's a big job. It's not an easy course. And look at what you had to remember. All these things about yourself, and now you're so firm in your knowing. You had to get that kind of firm. It's like you had to really be shaken up. Me too. I had to be the same when I had my experience. It was like, why did I do this? And it affected my health in a way that it wasn't good for a while. It took a while to come back on a path. So so you talk. Now, what about your higher self? When you connect, I know you connect to your higher self. Well, how do you see the difference between your higher self, God, and your inner self? How do you see that?
Well, to be honest, Janet, now I actually, my higher self is merged with me most of the time. And I think this is probably a consequence of what I went through.
Okay.
So
And when you say your higher self, what has that brought into your life when you say that?
So my higher self brings in a direction and a guidance and a focus all the time.
Beautiful.
And it reminds me of my truth. So I always know I have the right for this. Nothing is beyond me or outside of me, let's say. And I can, you know, go and ask for something, and I can also be kind and firm when I'm not getting what I want. Whereas before I'd get all frustrated and like, oh, you know, small little me, you know, getting all angry. But I think when I'm with my higher self, it's like I'm more patient. It's like, okay, it's fine, I'll wait, but firm, you know.
So your higher self is sort of like that bigger part of you that comes in. So how did you feel it come in? Did you feel it come into you? What was your knowing when you knew
I think it started a couple of years ago during the whole evolution, while I was still under the spell, perhaps towards the end, where I was growing much more. When I meditated, I could experience and see my higher self and talk to my higher self. And I think now it's just merged with me all the time. Well, more or less all the time. So for example, now if I'm talking to you,
you're all one now. You've incorporated those aspects that everyone talks about. Like we're meant to incorporate all these higher aspects of ourselves, which make up the higher self.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it. I don't know. Do you understand it that way? How do you see it?
Yes. And but the thing is, it's also a conscious thing. So I can also slip out of it very easily.
Sure.
You know, and start getting complaining and like frustrated and start acting like really like, you know,
bratty. Would you say that?
Yeah, I can.
Cheeky, as they say in England.
Yeah. And then my daughter will say to me, you know what, you're really not behaving properly right now, Mum. Like I'm you know, and so, and then it takes me the time to calm down, like the normal human behavior. So, you know, I can be both.
So then you're looking at your inner child. Now that your inner child is unsettled, it's like your inner self. Well, your inner child is really that being this is how I understand it, that's formed when you're really young. So when if you've had a rough youth, you're going to have a different kind of inner child. If you've had a really loving, smooth, which I don't know how many people have had that, it's kind of rare, but I would say most of us have had a kind of, we're meant to be wounded. It's almost like we're meant to be wounded. This is just what I'm seeing as that when we come into that inner child is that reminder that we are meant to grow from this, and we have to, that's the inner self that we have to protect and love and honor. And that's the sovereign part of us almost. I don't even know. This is just coming through now as I'm talking to you. I had never thought of that concept before, to tell you the truth, but it's coming through like that right now. And does that make sense? I mean, how
it does, because that's the first point of being wounded, isn't it? It's the first point where there's a differentiation of like, oh, something here has happened and it's not right.
Right. And how come? And I'm an innocent, beautiful new being on this planet. How can they hurt me? Why would they hurt me when I'm all love? I'm brought in as a being of all love. And why is this happening? It's very disturbing. I mean, I know when I first realized that the world was not all love, it was kind of a shock. Did you find that when you were young?
Well, I think I was quite a tough cookie.
Were you?
But so I held a lot of things in when I was young, but I think that it was more during my adulthood that I then realized that having held things in was not healthy, because I wasn't as expressive as I should be. I wasn't as free as I could be, or playful. I was more quite,
And
I was
you
too
held it
serious.
and what I'm seeing is that you held it in is because it's protection. It's to keep you
Absolutely.
safe.
Yes, of
Because
course.
when you're transparent, like what we're moving into, the divine human who's transparent and willing to show every part of us that isn't always perfect. I mean,
Exactly.
to a certain point, because
Yes.
we choose that people need to see us as who we are,
Yes.
that we're all similar. We've all been on these roots of,
Yes.
difficulty
Yes.
and, challenge, and it's part of the path that makes us into the divine human.
Yeah.
Because without, like we've said this a gazillion times, but without the dark, you don't see the light,
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, interesting. I got chills on this. So I kind of just, I almost doing a repeat question here. Has your soul probing adventure given you any other new insights into the divine parts of you versus the human identity that we perceive?
You know what? I love the human experience. I love it. I'm one of those people that I love being human. I'm not someone that says, oh, I don't think I'll be here again. No, I love it. And I think actually what I went through makes me love the human experience even more, because I missed out on it. I did.
Okay.
I missed, while you're during the spell, you're not living a normal life. You're not living it. So that chunk of my life, I didn't live fully. I wasn't able to have a career, wasn't able to create money, wasn't able to move forward. And seeing it and seeing other people doing it, and me being always, on the side looking, you realize the beauty of the human experience. And it's something to really embrace and enjoy and nourish and cherish.
I love that. That's so powerful what you just said. I mean, I have chills. My body's got chills all over it, because it's such a truth that you're sharing, and I can really feel that. And I mean, this is a sacred truth that you brought out, that you've understood now about what you like and what you're choosing in your life now to happen, to create your reality.
Absolutely. And people you have to enjoy your life. Enjoy it. Don't spend it complaining or whining. If you don't like something, shift it and change it, because you can.
Yeah,
you can.
we can. And I think, yes. See, so you pulled yourself out of this spell you were in. Can you tell us a little bit, without, I don't want to ruin the book or anything, but whatever parts you feel that people could hear right now?
Well, it wasn't something that happened overnight, and it was not one thing that undid the spell. It's not like I went somewhere and they took it off. It was a period of years seeing different people. Each person would take a layer off or something else. And actually, I had to get it confirmed that there even was a spell, because you don't really know.
Who believes that, right? Who believes that?
Exactly. So I had it confirmed by two people, and the first person was very accurate in the way it happened, and they didn't know anything about it. So
so incredible. That's so important too. Yeah, that's really
otherwise I was, honestly was mad.
Sure.
There wasn't
I
a spell.
wouldn't be. Who wouldn't be? Yeah.
And the second one was a very high profile healer, actually, who works with the Dalai Lama. And just by divine timing and synchronicities, I managed to get an appointment with him. And he did this special feather thing, healing. And he said to me, you are one of the 3% of people who actually had a spell.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's interesting. I think it's so important for people to hear that you shared that.
Right.
Only 3% have actually had a real black magic spell put on them.
Yeah, it's very, very rare. I mean, so rare.
So this is why your experience is so unique. You came in to do this unique path that was just, I mean, it was just an incredible path that none of us would want to choose, and neither did you. But it was in your contract, or it was in your It was the choice you made.
It was in my arena. And I think, I sometimes I do think, I could have also not chosen it. And but
you might have had to come back and do something again.
But obviously you choose it because there was something in me that went for it. So
yeah, maybe it was a part. Do you consider yourself an old soul?
Oh yeah, very old soul. Very, very, very old soul. I don't think you could do something like this if you weren't an old soul. It's too tough.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's too tough because, to have 17 years of not being able to create and not lose your mind.
Yes. And that's a key thing to say. Most people would probably lose it. They would, because it's just challenging you in so many ways and stopping you from having any kind of life that you had before.
Mm-hmm.
It's
not obvious, it's not like people understand it. And how do you talk to people about stuff like this? And it affects so many areas of your life, family, relationships, all relationships, because they think you're mad, but you're not.
And they think you're imagining it or making too much out of it when
or there's something like not right with you, like why can't you get a job? Like you're an educated person, why can't you get a job? It's been like 10 years now, Jade, why can't you get a job?
And every time you tried to get a job, what happened, Jade, when you did try to get a job?
You reach the top and then it's like it just goes down. Like you just about make for example, I could send 1,000 emails for positions.
Okay.
I would fit the spec 100% and I wouldn't even get a runners up.
Really?
Consistently, perpetually. I volunteered for years with organizations where I had all the expertise, gave everything for free. And as soon as a free position came up, the organization either shut down or they would just offer it to somebody else who didn't even have the same experience.
And you had done all the work?
All the work, all the time.
Wow. Yeah. That'll definitely wear on a person. But you didn't. And this is the beauty of what your soul, kept pushing you forward. You had that, like you said, that deep knowing that this was probably going to end eventually. Maybe, I don't know. Or you were going to find a way out. It feels like that's what you were doing. You were constantly.
Well, I've always been optimistic. It's in my nature. So, so, and when the way reality works, that eventually there has to be, there's a bad patch, but there has to be a good patch. So I knew that because there wasn't a good patch, that something was wrong.
Right.
And I had to figure out what was wrong. And I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah. So now we're going to go to the flip side of what you're doing now. You're doing your amazing healing work. So now you've stepped into Akashic record reader, healer. That came into your world and you just embraced that. So tell us a little about that. This is what your life is now.
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm helping people find their power, literally.
See, isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
You had to learn. You can't teach until you learn yourself.
Yeah.
It's an impossible task. Same here.
Yeah.
Can't teach until you learn it yourself.
Exactly. And I think what happened to me is I then started to work with these winged beings of light, who are this 11th dimensional collective. And together with them, we're helping humanity and people and situations and earth. And I think I wouldn't have been doing that for sure if I had not gone through.
Sure, you would have been in the more glamorous life of a documentary maker and
wouldn't have been bad.
Industry, which maybe you were saved from that.
Who knows?
in a funny, yeah. As we know many things about it now, that has shifted our perspective of that industry.
Yes.
But for you, I had a great question. Now it kind of went out of my head. What was it? It was about so you're doing your work, and I can't remember what I was going to ask now. How did that happen? I had a perfect question. And so give us a little journey of what you do for people. Just give us a little insight. So
you know, I can read people on a soul level. So I can tell people, I can tell you exactly what the issue is. Many people that come to me have already had quite a bit of healing. I seem to attract very advanced souls. So they've either had a lot of healing, but they're still not quite there, or they have been through very difficult, challenging situations. So I'm able to help them with that as well, just because I can read people on a soul level, so I can see what I see what the problem is.
Yes. And that's really important, because it doesn't matter what level you think you're at in your ascension process, if you want to call it that, or your consciousness level, or, you know, MI 5D, 6D, whatever that stuff is all about, you know, and labels are just like falling away now as we truly step into our divine essence. That's how I'm seeing it. And I think you see that too. And we just need to ask for help sometimes. We're not perfect, and the ego has to drop away. It's all about ego is not part of our life anymore. Ego, I mean, it's important to have a way of, making money and to survive or to live a life that's comfortable enough that we're happy and joyful, and we can have joy in our life.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's nice to be a little more comfortable, but it's not essential. I think we found that through these last 3 years. Nothing is essential as it used to be. It's totally shifted our look at what do we need materially versus what we really need spiritually. And that is a huge understanding. So I know what my question was. It came back. The white winged beings of light, when you connected with them, how did that happen? Was that through meditation? Or how did they come in?
Oh, Janet, I tell you, honestly, I have never channeled in my life before. And I never in my life would have thought I was like channel. The honest truth is that I wanted to write a book, like an ebook, right? Just something that could bring me some money because I wasn't able to create anything. And I thought, right, I'll just sit down and start writing something. I don't know what I'm going to write about. I went online and I thought, maybe I'll write about self-love. I don't know anything about self-love, but there wasn't anything online about it. Honestly, it sounds like a film, but I started to write, and then I actually started to get these wonderful words, like, something's talking to me, and it's not me. Where is this coming from? And I just wrote it down. I just went with it. I didn't question it. It was lovely information coming out, and I resonated with it and I understood it, but I didn't question it. I just allowed it to come through. And honestly, that's how it started. But what's so interesting is that around the same period of time, I actually saw Archangel Sandalphon in my friend's living room, a holographic figure.
Wow.
And I had this incredible experience where I was just unpacking my suitcase, and I looked up, and this hologram was standing on the other side of the room, all in green, with these incredible blue eyes gazing at me. And the eyes were filled with joy, like loving. The minute I sort of looked again, it was gone. But something happened, and I think that was an activation of some sort, because it was shortly around after that time I started to channel.
Fantastic. And it's because you opened yourself to that. You opened it, and you persevered through an enormous test, an enormous soul test that you chose to take on, and look at the reward you got. You got to see this amazing vision. I mean, it's not maybe it doesn't help you always eat food or things, but it opened the doors to everything in your life, and it's opened the doors to what you're doing now. You wrote your book, your practice, which is just incredible. And I know I've had my reading with you, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, you
Oh,
tell people
yeah.
things that they would never imagine, or,
Yeah.
you really do help us see ourselves in a different light, to accept some of the bigger roles some people are meant to play, or
Mm,
and we always have a choice and all of these things. There's nothing we have to do, because as you say, we create our reality. But we get to choose, because it's a free will planet. So we're always putting,
exactly.
and if we don't take it on, someone else tends to do it. So I mean, that's what I always hear. I mean, do you find that true? Like, if you didn't take it on, someone else might have done it, but you did.
Yeah, I do. And but I also think we are creators. So we just create another opportunity,
Okay,
we
I
just
love
create
that.
again. It's like,
That's so perfect.
yeah, we are. Let's just say we have our own cake each. We're
Mm,
constantly creating a cake. No one's sharing my piece.
right.
And they have their own one because they're creating it too. So it's
Okay,
infinite.
I love it.
If I don't decide to follow that possibility, I'll just create another one. I can keep creating infinitely all the time because it's
Yes,
only me making it.
yes. And that just gives, like, I love hearing that. And it's a good reminder for me, and a good reminder for other people to hear that, because no matter how many times things haven't gone perfectly, you can do it again a different way, or just drop it and start something else. That
Always,
maybe it's not the real joy that was meant to bring you. And that's why it's not working for you, because as you said earlier, we are meant to be in our joy and our passion in this life. And so to
always.
get us there, we still have to travel these roads that are not always the easiest, but we wouldn't learn or understand or even appreciate what we have now if we hadn't
Exactly.
gone through it. Right? Do
Exactly.
you see that for you?
Exactly. And we can keep refining ourselves, Janet. There's always more.
Yes. And
Always more.
yes, and we're meant to be humble as we do this.
Yes.
There's no,
Yes.
the ego steps out of the way now,
Yeah.
because the ego is always around, because it's here to keep us safe, but it's not necessarily our controller. The
Yeah.
controller is the heart. And I mean,
Yeah.
if you really want to know your truth and this is how I see it. Do you see it that way too?
Yeah. I mean, I think the ego gives healthy motivation sometimes, or,
Okay.
it can help us be ambitiously healthy, but we have to, in the heart, be resonant with it or not. Do we feel that that decision is heartfelt? Is that truly us? Is it what ignites your soul?
Mhm.
That's where you have to go always.
Yeah. When you're lit up and you're really in joy and things seem effortless, that's it. You're there.
That's it.
And
That's
that's
it.
where you are now. You're kind of in an effortless. You're getting to that effortless part, or not?
Um,
It's working its
no,
way.
still effortless. Not really. I have to say that, I'm still going through backlog of my spell.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
just say I only really came out of it last November. I mean, it's
I
not
didn't
even a
realize it was
year.
that close. Wow, it was last November
Yeah. And I have to,
2022.
right. So
Wow.
I was writing my book while I was still under it. Right.
Mm.
And it's interesting because I said to my editor the other day, I said I would not have been able to write it if I was out of it, because now my perspective's completely different. I'm
Mhm.
not there anymore. I couldn't have written the book. But I have to say that since November and now, my life has changed so much. So,
Wow.
it has shifted hugely. But it's, still only been, it's not even been a year, but in a very short space of time, I've built a huge, huge presence and, practice, and healed so many people, helped so many people. Many things have been created, many.
I'm
Yeah.
so happy for you. And it's so wonderful for you to share where you are. And that's a 3%. You're a 3% person here.
3%.
Other people that are going through other things that maybe we're not the same level, but everybody's journey is always difficult because that's their journey.
Yes. Yeah.
But they can hear you, that you've gotten through it because you persevered. You meditated. Do you think meditation opened the doors also to the wings of light and the beings that you channel?
Yes. I mean, I've meditated all my life, even
Have you?
prior to the spell. I've always been very spiritual. I think, the most important thing is actually listening to yourself and quieting down and really asking yourself, what do you want and where are you placing your focus? Because everything in your life that you create is what you're focused on. And often in this day and age, the focus is everywhere. We're so split between this happening, that happening, that happening, that happening. It's a distraction tactic.
Yes, it is. Yes,
so we have to be strong,
we have to shut off the YouTube or the Facebook,
right,
or Instagram or the TikTok or whatever you're into, even the TV.
even the
TV. That's a
TV.
spell in itself. I mean, you can sit in front of a TV for 4 hours and you're like, where did that time go?
Totally.
You're in another world. I mean, you're taken
Totally.
out of your mind because you're not you're really in your body's there, but your mind isn't. You're traveling like astrally into these
Right.
journeys people are on.
And if you notice, they do it in banks, they do it in shopping centers, they play the music. I mean, it's all so that you're not present. That's the problem. We have to learn how to be present and conscious, really, and that's power. Because when you have presence, you have power. You are able to, in that moment, everything is up to you.
And you're
but if you're not in the moment,
Yeah.
if you're not in the moment, you lose it.
Yes.
You lose it to someone else or to something else.
Yeah, and that's a really big one. That's a really big one that people, because I myself can remember living in the future. I was always living for tomorrow. I wouldn't talk about today. I'd be like, okay, tomorrow we'll do this. But why wasn't I enjoying today? And I would find myself looking at myself going, why are you always looking at tomorrow? You're in today. Can't you just be in the moment? And I don't know where that came from, but I've shifted that now.
Fantastic.
And I love the moment, and I love being in this now moment, which we hear everybody talk about. It's important to be present. It's like everything you just said, but you made it in such a very down to earth, grounded way, because that is it. That is it. So you already gave some vision. Any other vision or words that you have for the journey you see humanity on, and also the future? Let's see, that's a big question, but you already gave us some good insights. But anything else you'd like to add?
I mean, we have to really love more. We got to get beyond the judgment. Stop judging. We judge too easily, too quickly, all the time, and if you think that the bubble you living, the reality you living, which is really your own creation, it's you judging something about yourself, because what you're experiencing is you all the time. So when you're judging or you're criticizing or you're blaming, it's something that's you. What is it in you that you're judging and blaming? That's the point. So when we clear all that up, we just send out love, and what comes back to us is more love. So we empower our lives and we live more loving lives, and with the love comes more happiness and joy.
Yeah, I so agree with that. This is my favorite little sentence that someone told me when I was in a leadership class. I made a comment about how this person was so good at what they did, and he said, well, if you spot it, you got it.
Absolutely.
Oh, and you just said the same thing. As far, even for shame and blame and complaining, if you spot it, you got it. You got to look at your stuff as well, and the positive and the other parts that, oh, wow, why am I so aware of that? And I had to look at myself too, going, whoa, you didn't think you had that in you. You are so that person as well.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, that is so great. So I'm going to just thank the listeners that are all here listening right now, and remind them that we love to hear from them and any insights from this interview. This interview was incredible. Everything you've shared is just it's beyond, I mean, what anyone could imagine. You know, someone being able to put words to your experience is very powerful. And you, the understanding you have of it, the peace you've come to, I can feel the peace that you are sharing with us, that you're at peace with it. Do you feel that's true?
Yes, it took me a long time.
Oh, sure. Okay. It happened overnight. No.
You know, to come out in public and say, oh, I was under a spell. It's not an easy thing. It is now, but it wasn't. It's something actually quite, you know, how do you tell people this, you know? And it did take a long time for me to come to terms with it myself, because it was trauma. It is trauma.
It is.
You know, it's something somebody did to me, and it affected my whole life, and not just my life, but it affected my family's life, you know, because everything has a knock-on effect. That it is trauma, but I'm at peace with it now, finally, thank God. And I'm able to share it and talk about it in a very healthy way. So
and it's so powerful. So Jade, I'm going to thank you so much for your incredible endurance and commitment that you had to owning your divine light, that beautiful self-love you talked about, because that was my whole reason for creating these shows and this kind of, you know, community, because we're meant to love ourselves first.
Absolutely.
And people are learning that, and through all the things we're going through, and yours was an amazing experience, exploration into the soul underworld.
I honestly, and I would love to meet someone else who's been through it.
Because you never know, it would be powerful for them. I
would love it, because you know, sometimes it's like I don't have anyone who says, oh, you know what, I know what you're talking about. I would love to
the thing is,
I would wish it on anyone at all.
No, but could they make it through it? Do they even understand what they're in? See, that's the whole thing. You finally, you kept seeking healers and different people to help you take a layer off, and then you started some light. They were taking off the dark layers that were hindering you from seeing what was really going on. But you didn't give up. You never gave up, which is huge. Never. I mean, you probably had thoughts of it. Nobody, you know, can't help it, but you didn't allow them to take you over, you know. You said no. I mean, and you never did either, did you? Did you ever have those kind of thoughts? No, not at all. Perfect.
You know, it's like when you know that you're wearing an outfit that doesn't fit, like you have to get it off.
I love that. That's
you have to get it off.
Analogy. Yeah, I love that. So Jade, you have become the divine phoenix rising. That's what I'm calling you, the divine phoenix rising, as you embody your sacred truths, and your resilience has reminded us, so that when we take the next step, that can be a turning point in our lives. As I said, never give up. You never did. You're a beacon of light in that way, and you have accepted your sacred mantle and have risen above it all. And we are so inspired by your journey and your strength and your courage. I mean, it's truly, and when they read your book, they're going to experience such a regeneration of spirit. It really is. And, you know, so the divine human is rising, and we hold unlimited potential and gifts as we create our new earth realities. And thank you again, Jade, so much for your willingness to step into and becoming the divine human rising, because you're showing us exactly what it takes to be that human rising, that divinity in you that you're bringing forth and owning your light. And as we raise our heart's frequency, know that we are nourished with the love of the universe. I am Yara Atlantica Miller, soul name of Janet Miller. Oh, I'm going to cry now. Woo! And I will see you all in the next episode.
Thank you so much, Janet. It's been such a pleasure to be on here. Thank you so much.